Hello and welcome to week 5 of I Can't Sing. This is our recap of the session that was held a couple of weeks ago. So this week's session focuses on the highs and the lows. And for the geeky amongst you, yes, that's a greyhound and a lurcher. They're called Tora and Derek. They are sitting, I think, at the top of Sale Fell, or standing rather, top of Sale Fell, looking down over Bassenthwaite. And those are cumulus clouds. We do love a bit of geekery here at the Talk Card Ensemble. So as always, here's the small print. Don't do anything that's going to hurt or make an existing injury worse. Can't guarantee you'll be Beyonce. Insert other famous singers when you finish. We charge £2 per session. If you'd like to make a donation, just get in contact. We'll tell you how. There are no tie-ins. We don't expect you to join our choir after this. However, there are exciting things coming soon, we hope. So keep in touch and we'll help you find out more. And you don't need to worry about photos and videos because we're not live. And then there's some other small print there that you can read at your leisure. So first of all then, highs and lows. We've had a few questions from people who've been coming along about saying they don't know what their voice type is. And it's a bit of a tricky one in some ways because our voice type develops as we start to sing and as we start to use the techniques that we've learned over the 6 weeks of the course, final course being tonight as I record this, 30th of April, then your range will extend and it will settle into a place. But if you've been singing for a while, then these are the key voice types. We traditionally think of these by gender, but that's not necessarily the case. We have female tenors. We have a female tenor in our choir. I've sung tenor from time to time. In one of my favourite choirs, the 16, the men sing alto. And of course, in these days of gender diversity, that could be completely different anyway. But these are what we call these ranges. So let's have a look at them all. So what we're seeing here is a piano keyboard. Here is middle C that it points to on each one. That's always a central note for musicians. We talk a lot about middle C, and it's called middle C. Well, it's in the middle of all of the clefs, if you can read music. It's also in the middle of the piano range. So it's where you start when you learn the piano, with your thumb on middle C. So it's kind of our anchor in terms of notes. So first of all there we've got the bass, and the darker green notes there are showing you the key part of that range, and the green ones are extended parts that some people will be able to sing there and possibly beyond. So a bass singer is going to be comfortable from this note right down here all the way to this note up to middle C. Clearly I can't sing that note, but I can sing this one. That's way too low for me. So if your voice sits between there and there, just slightly above, then you are a bass. Next off, the middle of the traditionally male voice ranges is the baritone. Lots and lots of men will find themselves in this this section because it's that middle range. It's an average kind of space. So your baritones occasionally will sing down to there, but most comfortably will be this G all the way up to around here, which in reality would sound like this. I can't sing that. Can sing at the top. Okay, tenors. Voice range starting around just below the C, below middle C. I can just about sing this one, so I'll sing all the way through this one, going up to here, perhaps a little bit above for some tenors, and perhaps even slightly more for that, but we'll see. This is the core range of your tenor voice. It goes like this. And then we go over to the traditionally female voices. So, altos. I'm an alto, usually. I sing alto in choir. I'm kind of mezzo-ish. You'll hear why in a moment. But altos are really comfortable in the lower range. So some altos can get down here, but this is the core range for an alto. Up to there, with a little bit beyond for some of us. Clear my throat for this one. I haven't warmed up, so it's going to be a bit croaky, but here we go. So here is the alto range. La, 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 with occasionally a bit of that. Okay, mezzos, the middle of the traditionally female ranges. They've got a bit of the alto stuff going on and a bit higher into the soprano range. So they can sing the low G just about, but it might not sound as good. But then we're going to go from the A below middle C right the way up to around the F, possibly up to G. So here is mezzo-soprano range. It's just going to really creak at the top. Should have warmed up. It's an important lesson we learnt a while ago and I'm just ignoring it. Here we go. La, 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 la. So just a little bit above. Okay, and then the highest sound of any choir is your soprano range and any vocal range. So if you think about operatic sopranos, they have these wonderful high notes. They go actually way beyond this. This shows them going up to C here. But I know that there are pieces of music that require sopranos to go beyond that, up to here, and potentially even a little whistle tone up to there. But your standard choral soprano will be required to go up to about A or B flat, with occasional optional notes up to B and C, but it's quite rare. We very rarely would ask our choir to sing that. We very rarely ask them to sing a B flat, although A's are quite common in some of the music we did. If you caught us singing Hallelujah Chorus on the High Street the other day, that goes up to an A. So here's the soprano range. They start around middle C and they find that note quite tricky, which is strange for me because it's really comfortable in my low voice. So I'm going to have a go up to the A. Yeah, wish me luck. Here we go. Yeah, it's a bit of a squeak for me because I am not a soprano. I'm perhaps a mezzo, but yeah. We'll think about that. So hopefully that's helped you think about where your voice might sit. For most people, when they start, they've got a kind of a baritone or mezzo range. But as I say, that will change over time. The more you exercise your voice, the more you use it. And it's the exercise that's the key. You wouldn't, as a footballer, expect to go on the pitch straight away into the World Cup and win a final. You would do lots and lots of work on strength exercise and fitness and stamina and taking penalties and all of that stuff. That's what the exercise is for us as singers. It's the thing that gives us the strength we need in the muscles we use for our voice. Okay, next we sang a little gospel warm-up and we sang in some of those spaces. So we identified where they were and we sang this thing, which I probably can't play now. Something like that. A little gospel warm-up by Hezekiah Walker. Fabulous name. So yeah, missed out on that one, I'm afraid, but it was really good fun. Okay, so then we talked about high and low hacks. We used to call them top tips in my day, but now they're called hacks. So that's what we're looking at. So first of all, the important thing is that your posture is good. So all the stuff we talked about in the first week about making sure that your body is aligned with your neck sitting comfortably on your shoulders and your shoulders above your hips and your hips above your knees above your feet. No tension in that, no locking in the knees, but a comfortable high and low space will need that good posture. The next thing is how we think about these notes. So for me, sometimes when I'm singing a high note, I kid myself that it isn't as high as I think it is. Similarly, when I'm singing a low note. So for high notes, I tend to think about them being kind of on a table in front of me where I need to pick them from. I stole that from a chap called Marcus Farnsworth, who's a beautiful baritone. His voice is beautiful. He's beautiful too, I'm sure. But it's a good exercise in thinking about where the notes are. They're just on a table in front of you, all of them, whether they're high or whether they're low. High notes aren't right up on the ceiling to be grabbed and pulled down. That's when the tension happens in your voice, because we squeeze around our throat, which pushes our larynx up into our vocal cords, and you can hear that that's not going to be helpful when I do it. So we want to avoid that. Low notes, I think about them coming out of my shoulders and sideways, because I don't want them to feel like they're really low and horrible. And when you're picking them up from the paper, the next thing is to think about them going in that shape. We're going to pick them up in a little rainbow shape, which means that we arrive on top of the note. If we're trying to go up to that note, sometimes we'll find that we make it a little bit flat or a little bit sharp. So we're just going to drop on top of it with that little shape there. I'm wildly gesticulating as I do this, but you can't see me, but I'm sure you can imagine. That's my think about both notes actually. So we're not going to think about them being up and down, we're going to think about them sideways. The other thing that matters is a really open throat. So thinking about your throat being really wide is going to help you get those notes in, and spreading sideways and picking them up off the table. Finally, your tongue. Your tongue can get in the way. And quite often that happens when you're trying to sing a high note. We kind of, because of that tension, we pull our tongue back. And that doesn't help either. That also stops those high sounds from coming out because it's blocking the airflow and because it's creating tension. So if you've got a high note in a song that you can't quite work out when you're practicing, stick your tongue out. I have to hold mine out because it just feels weird otherwise. Stick your tongue out and then sing the high note. Let's see if I can do that one better with my tongue out. With my tongue not dealt with and pushing back. Might sound the same to you, but I can feel the tension. So watch what your tongue's doing. You're not going to stick it out when you're performing. Well, you might, I don't know. Depends if you're a Kiss tribute. But you've got to think about where that tongue's sitting. Now, the next thing that's important is transitions. So we're talking about what happens when we move these notes around in our voices. So you remember we talked about chest voice and head voice. I'm going to demonstrate that here. So when we're moving from one part of our voice to another between the registers, then we find that sometimes that's where, major time, when the cracks will fit in your voice. When someone says, I've had a voice crack, it's quite often that. If it's not a transition, it's either they haven't warmed up enough, they haven't drunk enough, or their voice is slightly damaged. And that might be temporary or potentially permanent, because we can damage our voices. There are lots of famous singers who have done so and had to have surgery to correct them. The most famous is probably Julie Andrews, who had polyps on her vocal cords many years ago, I can't remember when, and had them surgically removed, but unfortunately affected her voice permanently. So although you hear her sing now, it ended her main singing career, which is terribly sad because she had a beautiful voice. And there's other singers more recently, Adele, Sam Smith, Jess Glynne also, and lots of others have had the same kind of problems. So that can also cause it. But we're going to focus on the transitions because that's relevant for today. So here's me singing a low note to a high note without thinking about that transition. And hopefully you will hear, in my voice it yodels rather than cracks usually, but we'll see. Yeah, yodel. You hear that little in the middle. That's because I wasn't thinking about which range that was in. And you'll see in a moment that we sang some songs that include this. So if I sing somewhere up, not nice, is it? So when we're thinking about transitions, we need to identify which parts of our voice we're singing in and then consciously move that space from one to another. So for me, the C, I mean, I can sing it in my head voice, but if I'm going to sing it in my chest voice up to my head voice, which is what I think this is doing for most of us, so chest voice to head voice, we have to think about those two things. So as I do this, I'm pointing at my chest voice, my sternum, I'm pointing at the back of my head. Somewhere, that's my chest voice up to my head. Somewhere, and consciously thinking about that is going to help. The other thing you can do is put them both in the same space. Now in this one, if you're a soprano, you're going to struggle with that because this is going to be in your chest voice down here and this is your head voice. For me as an alto, I can put that one here pretty much into my head voice. It's a bit of a mixed voice, but we'll talk about mix in another season. Ooh, it's like an American TV show. Okay, so if I put them both in my head voice, somewhere, it's equally neat, and we'd use different things in different songs to create that space. But there we go. A big reason why we get cracks in our voice, but also not warming up and also not drinking enough water is really important. And not supporting it enough from your belly, actually. That's also really important. Okay. So we did indeed sing Somewhere Over the Rainbow because that has that beautiful low to high octave jump. Beautiful song. We then sang I Saw Her Standing There because it's got the how could I dance with another, which is, joyous in my voice today. Oh yeah, there's one in there as well, isn't there? I held her hand with mine. Yeah, I'm not going to do that today. Then we sang Moon River, which is quite low, putting in our chest voice, but it does move into the higher space as well. And we sang Bring Me Sunshine for a laugh. And then we didn't look at Va Pensiero last week, but we did sing Africa because we sang it on the high street this week, and it was great fun, apart from that I messed up the key at the beginning of it, because the chap who was playing the guitar, busker chap, carried on playing, and he was playing in a different key, and it completely made me lose my sense of where the key was. So thankfully everybody followed me. Perhaps they shouldn't have done that. Perhaps they should have stuck with what they knew, because they pitched it much better than me. But there we go. It all worked out all right in the end. And Wellerman was brilliant, and Hallelujah was also fabulous. So well done, those who came and joined us, and the main choir as well. You were fabulous. So yeah, we sang that through. We talked about our dates again. Of course, the next one is the 30th of April, which is tonight. And we are still waiting for confirmation from the cinema about this Grease sing-along. But we have a plan if that isn't confirmed. But we will see you on the 14th of May for something. And at the next session, we're going to be handing out some sheets for you to write on an email address so that we can keep in contact with you. If you're just watching these sessions and you'd like to be included in that email list, then please either go to our website and put a contact on there. Just there's a contact us form, talkardensemble.co.uk, and just make a note on there. Please can I add it to be I Can't Sing. Alternatively, you can email us talkardensemble@gmail.com, and we will add you to that list to find out more about what happens next. Something will be happening, but we're kind of waiting to hear the kind of things that you would like to do. So once we've got your email address, we'll probably send you out a little link to a form to give us some feedback and let us know what you'd like to do next. And then don't forget, you are invited to join us at our World Prom concert. You can sit in the audience if you'd like to, but if you'd like to do that and join in, we'll be inviting you to join us singing Va Pensiero, which we'll be doing tonight at the last session, just to remind ourselves. You're very welcome to do that from your seat, or you can come up and stand with us. Or if there's enough of you, we'll stand you at the back so that we get that kind of stereo sound for the audience. That's on the 19th of July. So next time, which I say is tonight as I record this, we're going to be talking about making yourself heard, avoiding misheard lyrics. I've got some great videos to show you. Managing loud and quiet sounds in our voice, and projection, how we make that sound travel through space. There's the QR code for the playlist, as always.